Hello. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Tim Truppich. I am a game developer. I have worked for all the greatest companies and some of the worst ones. I used to work for Microprose, which made today's subject. Around the time they were making this game, I also worked for Working Designs and 3DO and Insomniac Games. I did some contract for EA, Climax Group. I've worked on some games you may have played. And now I work for myself, and I make a wonderful program called Rhythm Core Alpha that lets you make your own music with a Nintendo DSi or 3DS game system.
I'm Gabe Cortez. I've got some circulation in the independent development community. Nothing too huge at the moment, and I've also designed some games of my own. I've actually been designing games since I was 13 years old. Paper and dice sort of thing. Yeah. And I also spent a significant amount of time working at the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences, so I have a view of the games industry also from the peer evaluation side as well.
And I'm the gimpy yet stern judge from Karate Champ. We're going to be playing Bloodnet today. And the first thing you're going to notice about it is that in this scene, as with every one, in the future, everybody just kind of stands around and does their own thing in clubs. No, this is a theme that you're actually going to notice recurring quite a lot. I'm actually playing this really quickly and skimming the text, so you need to pause it if you actually want to read most of this stuff.
Okay, yeah, I'm not really getting a lot of this. I've sort of missed out. Okay, what's going on? Is something saying 50 grand?
Yeah, what's happening here is that you are a mercenary in 100 years in the future from the...
100 years in the future.
This is based 100 years in the future, which is going to get really hilarious because it's already anachronistic. This woman walked in, hired you to do a basic hacking job. And afterwards, you go to meet her at her penthouse, which is at the street address is 666, so that's not foreboding at all.
We're talking about the lopsided woman over here on the right.
Her eyes are actually even, but you can't even tell that until you squint at the picture very carefully for about 5 seconds.
I thought this was a before or after of Michael Jackson.
Yeah. It does kind of look that way. If you're actually bothering to pause this and read it, you're going to notice that it's overwritten. There's a lot of painful flirtation and stilted dialogue. That's going to be consistent throughout the entire game. That's why I'm skimming it, to save you the brain damage that I've suffered.
So the format seems to be sprites and space, right?
Yep. It is a hybrid RPG / Sierra-style adventure game. Okay, 2 things that are just important right here is that Stark has just mentioned, seemingly at random, address of a woman who actually saved him from this futuristic syndrome called Brie Hopkins, where you spend too much time in cyberspace, a cyberpunk trope, and begin to be unable to determine what's real and what's virtual, which is going to be very funny once you actually see cyberspace as represented in this game. He mentions this woman, Deirdre Tackett, and he rather autistically rattles off her last known location, so you know that this is going to be an important plot point. Also, if you look at them right here in this screenshot, you'll notice that they look entirely different from their character portraits otherwise, and the perspective on her is so bad that it looks like she's missing part of her face. And he suddenly has feathered hair.
I'm just wondering if I worked with any of these artists when I worked on Magic the Gathering.
I don't think the artists worked with each other is the thing. Because you're going to notice...
Well, some of this looks like they may have used their rotoscoping system.
Quite probably, actually.
The sprites have that look about them.
It was important that we saw all of that walk, by the way.
Is there a lot of that in this game?
Not particularly.
Walking filler?
Actually, it's funny you should mention that, because walking is almost unnecessary for an adventure game, which is unusual.
It's interesting, the backgrounds here look like they were done in CG, and I didn't think we were doing any CG at that point in time. 3D rendered CG. So, yeah, they may have some tricks that I was not aware of. Scale of everything looks really off, though.
Yeah, one of the common things you're going to see is hairstyle number 3. And if you've ever wondered if you're going to see extremely hammy acting in still photos, here it is.
Did he have a Space Invader in his eye?
Yep.
This looks like pictures. This looks like they just took photos of somebody. I don't remember anybody doing photos of stuff, but maybe they were...
Well, I suspect that the artists on this game all worked in seclusion because many of the assets don't match. If you pay careful attention to the characters in relation to the backgrounds, you're going to see a lot of stuff that just the perspective is kind of screwed.
Yeah, they hadn't really figured out how to do shadows.
So he's turned you into a vampire as a reward for the job that you've just done so that he can control you. And
So vampire mercenary.
right here he mentions that he was looking for the woman that you mentioned, along with her location, along with her icebreaker program, Incubus. That's kind of an important plot point, except it's forgotten until the end, and you just cold cock the arch-vampire and run for it. So this story is very, very carefully conceived.
Yeah. I thought the whole thing with vampires is they were supposed to control you if you were like bitten by them. They were supposed to be like well, I suppose they can. It's vampire shit. They can make up whatever they want.
Right. Well, actually, as this conversation right here between you and your neural implant reveals,
Your neural implant,
it can talk to you.
of course.
In fact, it uses colloquialisms like "get a grip."
Of course it does.
So this was the precursor to Navi then?
Yes. This was
Hey,
listen.
hey.
It's basically the neural implant that's keeping the vampire infection from taking over.
Of course.
And this is the timed aspect of the game. As time goes on, you are going to lose humanity. Humanity gets to 0, the game's over. Of course, the neural implant is almost never going to speak again after this crazy text dump, except to tell you occasionally after you've lost humanity that you've lost humanity, despite the fact that it's actually a numerical component of the game that you can look at any time.
you have a humanity score.
You have a humanity score. We're going to cover that in a bit, actually, because
So this
that's
is like a predecessor of Eternal Darkness, where you could go mad, right?
not really, because it has no impact on gameplay. It's just that if you run out of it, it's game over.
Ah.
But there are other typical game resources like health that you have to manage also, right?
Here you'll note, yeah, it's an RPG. Oh, this is fun. This is the character generation quiz. And this is my favorite question right off the bat, because it asks how you would impress your dream girl, who is a Japanese waitress with cybernetic fingers tipped with a feather, a syringe, a pen, and a spoon.
What?
Yeah.
Is this the void comp test? Your
Sounds
friend
like-
Tyrell has been I mean, come on.
This determines your stats, and here's where the game starts to absolutely fail. For one thing, the controls. You can control this with the mouse to select all the answers, or you can use the arrow keys to switch between them and guess how you confirm the answer on the keyboard. The
Press
O
it.
key.
The O key.
You can't press anything else. You can't press the enter key. It has to be the O key, and there's nothing indicating this. And that is basically Bloodnet distilled to me, because the controls are horrible, and you're going to see that. But while you can specialize in hacking combat or, aspects like that, the only way that you're going to get anywhere in this game is by choosing a combat specialized character, and to do that, you just find the most violent answers possible here and choose all of those, because the combat is completely broken. A question that didn't pop up this time that I saw another playthrough involved another cyberpunk cliche, Civil Wars. Except in this case, it was kind of the lamest thing that you'll ever see, because it was being hired by North Dakota to quash the rebels in South Dakota after the two unified.
Okay.
So it's like they read the Shadowrun handbook where the United States just fell into civil war and divided up into various parts, and they wanted to do that, but they just didn't have the ability to pull it off.
Did they take any cues from the Korean War? You're giving me that look again.
So I'm trying to remember which one of those states had Mount Rushmore in it. North Dakota or South Dakota? I thought it was South. Is it South? Okay, nobody knows.
Nope. we're idiots, and we just revealed that to the world.
We can fix it in post.
So we got a stats screen here.
Yeah, this is your stat screen. I'm going to examine this in detail further. I decided to go with the smug tit that we saw in the intro.
I like that this guy's got like a sort of a Nathan Fillion look, half revealing his communist Russian.
Nathan Fillion is Two-Face,
Yeah.
which is an effect that they actually use in a few of the character portraits.
Did they let you change the name of the character?
No. You're Ransom Stark, romance novel protagonist.